What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and tonight I am joined by my guy, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. Matt, our co-host, couldn't make it tonight, so it'll be Mike and myself holding down the fort. We got a great show planned for you this evening. We'll be previewing the 49ers' second preseason game versus the New Orleans Saints, giving you any sort of contract updates that are there for Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams, and whatever other 49ers topics that come up. Now that I got that out of the way, Mike, how you doing this evening?
I am well. This has been a very, very long day, an uneventful day for 49er fans. I think we were out kind of just grasping and holding on to our timelines. I think we were misled by the great one and Jerry Rice saying that there was something coming down the pike today. Little did he know that the Niners just don't do deals this early in August. But we'll break all of that stuff down. We did get to hear from our head coach, Kyle Shanahan. He provided a couple of updates in his pressers today. He did say some of the starters that we could expect to see in this upcoming game. So we'll break all of that down. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, apparently Jerry Rice maybe operates on a different timeline. I'm not sure what he thinks a day is, but a day came and went. No update happened. If you guys missed it, he posted on his Instagram, tagged Brandon Aiyuk as well. Tomorrow will be the day we find out one way or another. Will he stay or will he go? And that day coming up was yesterday. So that day came and went. No Brandon Aiyuk update. There was an update that we'll get into a little later. Him on the field, 49ers cut off. Maybe that's a sign. I don't know. As far as this game, Mike, go ahead. What?
No. Go. We'll get back to it, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know if it was actually a 49ers cutoff or if it was just a cutoff.
Well, I kept seeing differing reports. I saw some reporters saying he was in a red 49ers cutoff. Then I saw others saying it was just a red cutoff. I'm not there, so I can only go off of what they're saying. I guess if anybody knows for sure, let us know. But as far as this game, this 49ers second preseason game, does not sound like rookie receiver Ricky Pearsall will be available. Kyle Shanahan said that they wanted to make sure they got him as healthy as possible before bringing him in. That way they don't risk re-injuring the shoulder injury right away. So hopefully he's back by next week. Obviously, he's not going to be there Sunday. But which rookies are you looking forward to seeing? And then we'll get into whatever starters that we know are playing. But let's stick with rookies. Which ones are you looking forward to seeing?
Sorry, I'm over here playing with my color, man. I'm fading in and out over here. I was trying to get it right.
Now,
I apologize. Yeah. It's looking weird over here. It's not the gold color shirt that I'm wearing at all on camera.
Oh, yeah, no.
It looks like a fake white or something,
it's like
right?
A pink.
It's just, yeah, I don't know.
It's a little better. Happening. There you go. Oh.
Yeah, but it's kind of jumping in and out. I don't know which way to do this here. I was trying to get the lighting right. Is that better? Mm-hmm. There we go. That's the gold, right? There we go. All right, I'll leave it like this. Sorry. There are a lot of rookies that I'm actually looking forward to playing. I do want to see some more of Dominic Pooney out there. I was really, really excited about his workload and how he looked, and I want to see more. I want to see something from any wide receiver on the team. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see the depth. I don't know if Cowing is going to be back in time or not, but that would be very, very exciting. And then you obviously want to see more of Malik Mustafa, right? That young DB is someone that is going to make a lot of name for himself in this preseason. He's going to quickly become a fan favorite, I think. And it's going to depend on, how good he looks out there in preseason games. All the practice reports are just that, they're practice reports. The fans really get excited once they can go back and see a highlight in 49ers uniform, in 49ers attire, and say, that's our guy. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Same. Niner Richard asked about Jacob Cowing. Not sure. Guess we'll see. Will any other receivers separate? Last week, we talked about Frank Darby, who was subsequently cut the day after we recorded. But Chris Conley looked good. Chris Conley's a vet, he's going to look good. He's a good vet. I'm not going to say starting level, but he is NFL level receiver, and
Mhm.
he looked good basically at almost any team. But will we see any of the other receivers start to separate, show up, look any better? That'll be interesting. Tate Martin, exactly, 916 49er. He looked good last week versus the Titans. He had a couple drops. Will Ronnie Bell continue to have the butter hands? We'll see.
But they're not rookies, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I
true,
get that
true,
that's who they were
true.
excited to see, but we just haven't seen these guys like on the field for the Niners. Tate Martin, I feel like has been around with the Niners for like 3 years. It just
It's been
feels
a
like
few
he's been
years.
around, right?
Yeah.
Tate Martin's been there, and Chris Conley. Oh man, seasoned vet. Did you see his presser?
I have it.
This guy, man, was out there wearing gold. He had a little strap going across, like his little merce or satchel. I don't know what I don't know what they call it, but he's so well spoken. He's so eloquent, and like every response he had was so deliberate. And I think that he's someone that needs to make this roster. I didn't feel that way prior to listening to him speak, but the way he conducts himself, the way he carries himself, he talks about how special teams is like the forgotten or unappreciated phase of the game. And he was like, no, like that is just as important to winning and losing a game as all the other ones. He says, if that's what they want me to do, I'm going to go out there and do that. And I would much rather be doing that than watching from home or being on the sideline watching. So it's just the right attitude. It's the right mindset to have, you know. And he even, in my opinion, I think he threw a shot at Brandon Aiyuk during the presser. He said that, you know, we are all well aware of what this offense can do. And it's an honor to be a part of it. You know, it's not something that you would take for granted, or not something that I would take for granted. Like the way he corrected himself was like, well, maybe some people do, but I wouldn't take it for granted. Like I was like, okay, pow, pow, shot. So I like that, man. I like it.
You know, last year, maybe it was the year before, we had talked about doing a body language show. That would still be so fun. I think about that from time to time when we break down these interviews and press conferences, and that would still be fun to set up, because I feel like that's like an untapped market in the sports world. You see it with like criminal psychology and
Yeah.
law and all this stuff where they break down like a sit down interview where you're being questioned by the police officers, but nobody talks about body language when it comes to football players, or maybe like, you know, nonverbal cues where, you know, like you just said, well, maybe some people take advantage of it, but I don't. And maybe it does take the perspective of kind of a, and I mean, no disrespect whatsoever, but of a fringe roster level player to see like, yo, I wouldn't mess this up for the world. Like I'm going to do everything I can to stay on this roster, because I've been on a few of them and none of them were this good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Did he win the Super Bowl with the Chiefs?
That's
was
a
he
good
with
question.
them during the Super Bowl year? I'm
was with
pulling it up
them.
now.
I don't think he did.
It says 2022, but only as an off-season or practice squad member. So he did not. He did not get a Super Bowl with them. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was with them until 2018. Like with them.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay.
Ian Sharp said Cowing practice today, so that's promising. It would be nice to see him. Nick Wagner, by the way, has been putting out these like practice summaries. Have you seen these on X?
These extended tweets. Yeah,
they're amazing.
Believe it or not, I quote tweeted him and said, Nick, I've been following you for years, and I cannot begin to tell you that I have a newfound appreciation for you for these extended long tweets. Most people will write an article and make you click a link to go to it and everything. He puts it right there. I mean, even Matt Mayoko, he doesn't even tweet anymore. Everything is on Threads, and like he refers you to his Thread page, right? It's like, Matt, no one's on Threads.
Like, I feel like Threads is a political statement. It's like I got a Threads and I got a Truth Social. Like let me go out there.
Right.
I'm not gonna download that.
Yeah, like Matt, nobody's there. And even though I have one because it came with the IG account, but it was like I don't use it, you know, I don't use it. But this guy takes his time and writes out a very unbiased, observational post every single practice recap, and I sincerely appreciate it.
If you guys are following Nick Wagner, you got to go follow him. I have that post up here because he brought up who didn't practice today, who was full list of non-participants. Wisnowski still with the knee. Obviously, Aiyuk. Pearsall with the shoulder. Ambry Thomas with the broken forearm. Isaac Yadam with the ankle. McCaffrey with the calf. Mitchell with the hamstring. Patrick Taylor Jr. and Isaac Guerrero hamstring, John Feliciano with a knee, Ben Barch and Kalia Davis with the knee. By the way, how depressing is that, Mike? We were just talking about how impressed we were with Kalia Davis, and then report comes out the next day he's out for the year.
Yeah, it's tough.
Or not for the year. Sorry.
Yeah.
Half the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And it's bad because everybody that they asked about it at the presser, as far as like coaches, were all like, I'm not going to say surprised with his workload, but very happy and proud of what he was doing. They were saying like it was going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year for him. Like they were very, very excited about him. Watching him penetrate through those double teams and big man getting skinny. You know, he's finding a way to get between the double team with one arm and like throw that shoulder in there, and they can't. There's nothing they could do. He was looking so good especially on passing downs in particular. But he had 2 or 3 tackles for loss, a sack. He was just all over the place, and there's something that you wanted to see continue. You know, but hopefully he can bounce back. You know, they said it was just like a cleanup. They didn't say it was anything torn or anything like that in the knee. It was more of a cleanup and more of a procedural thing. So you know, go out there, heal it up. I think the list is up to 26 players injured throughout training camp. 2 people holding out or in, however you want to call it. But nothing other than the broken forearm, which even that I believe is not season ending at this point. So it's pretty good. I mean, the one guy that is season ending was the offensive lineman we signed and lost the same day. Mm-hmm. So I mean, listen, if you're gonna tell me like the Niners are going to go out and get guys like Kalia Davis and Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga back like down the stretch, I like our odds, you know, when it's that time of year for us. So
that's what I always think about is like, okay, it does suck, but you're telling me reinforcements are coming towards the second half of the year when the starters are kind of gassed. And, you know, by week 7 or 8, no team's fully healthy. They're all banged up in some form, way or another. So it is promising that at least we're going to get prominent players, you know, Dre Greenlaw, Kalia Davis, and others back healthy then. So that'll be promising. So that was all who didn't practice today. Purdy reportedly had a good day, 21-25 with 3 throwaways. By the way, I just got to say, it's really funny how like intensely people started tracking practice stats out of nowhere. I don't know what.
It wasn't out of nowhere. You know when it happened, right?
Well, when the 3 quarterbacks started going at it, or 2, I guess, with Jimmy and Trey.
Yeah, I was going to say it was Jimmy and Trey. Yeah, that's when they really started tracking all those numbers, and now it's like everyone's doing it.
I saw that the David Lombardi of the Philadelphia Eagles, I forget the guy's name, but he said like a tweet that like last week, like breaking, Jalen Hurts has thrown 700 straight completions in practice. This is a record and yada, yada. It's like, that's so embarrassing, dude. Like, you should delete your account. First of all, you're tracking it for that long. And how do you know it's a record? Who the hell, who keeps that?
Right.
It's embarrassing. So.
Meanwhile, down the stretch, he had like more interceptions. Never mind. It's just, yeah, fine. You guys keep winning in the preseason. That's fine.
Go for it. Our guy Dion, Not a Game Podcast. What's good, fellas? Just looking to see more improvements from the young Bucks. Positive progression is all I want. Well said, brother. Well said. Briscoe, do we have a problem with our practice field? Nobody has injuries like we do. I think Levi's is cursed, man. It's not even.
I'm not. Good.
I don't even know what it is. Like, it wasn't like that when they were practicing in Santa Clara and played in San Francisco. Ever since they moved here, there's been this just rash of injuries, and then people try blaming it on Mark Uyami. Then Uy left, and then they brought in another behavioral, physical health coach or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, it's odd to look at the numbers because last year the Niners were on the exact opposite side. Like, we were relatively healthy coming out, and we had a pretty good, as far as health goes, like a pretty good season. If you actually think about it. So I'd rather them, it's the wave of attrition, right? You're going to be injured a lot some years you're not going to be injured. So it's the wave. I'd rather us get back on that wave so we can kind of plan for it, But the Niners are doing things the right way. They are trying to maintain as opposed to improve. When you have the best roster in the league, it's hard to improve. And that was something I was thinking about today. I was thinking about the age. I saw this tweet that said the Niners have like the oldest team, like as far as average player's age and all that stuff. But that's going to happen when your entire draft class has 5 years of football under their belt. So instead of drafting, 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds, we're drafting 24 and 25-year-olds. So when things like that start to happen, your average age is going to shoot up. It's part of the course based off of how you draft.
Yeah, can I just add, statistically, first rounders are more likely to make your roster, and the 49ers went through 2 years of not having a first round pick, and then the first round pick they did draft is no longer here. So that definitely weighs it down a lot. I was to say weighs it down, but brings the age up, the average age up, because they don't have those first round picks that they traded for Trey Lance to bring that average down. They definitely need some of these rookies to start hitting though, some of these picks, because if you look back at like last year's class, the class before last year, it's like, Brock Purdy really saved that class. If not, it's kind of messy. So we'll see. Last year, obviously, the jury's still out. This year, hopefully, it's good. We'll see how that shapes up. By the way, who was it? Someone in here brought up the Vikings. That Vikings and Bills, Nigel Crane, Vikings and Bills have injuries. The Vikings have like had the offseason from hell. They had a DB pass away. They had another one get like a DUI. Jordan Addison just got carted off. And I saw a tweet and it was like, F it, next man up. We got this. And like a picture of the next man up. And then an hour later, that player got carted off too. Like they can't do it.
I'm sorry, not to laugh.
They can't even have the next man up mentality. It's sad. And we've been there. So
speaking of the Vikings and their injury, we know that they just lost J.J. McCarthy for the season. Looks like it's going to be Sam Darnold. So that's going to bode well for those of you guys who can go out and get J.J., Justin Jefferson, because Darnold likes to throw the ball deep. So that's going to bode well if you got him in fantasy. But I wanted to ask you straight up right now, based off of what we've seen, if the Vikings called and said, hey, we want a third-round pick for Dobbs, or we want Dobbs for a third round, would you take that offer?
Are you kidding me? Yes, without a doubt. Without a third round, I'd probably trade him for a fifth.
Oh, shit. Okay. Oh,
you kidding me?
Wow. Yeah. All right.
What were they going to get for Aiyuk? A third and a fourth? Like you're telling me you could get basically that for Joshua Dobbs?
Right. Well, because he's a quarterback.
How many teams was that gentleman on last year?
I don't know, but the Vikings was one of them, and that's why I said it. Yeah, the Vikings was definitely one of them. So
I'm just gonna say it. Michael Penix is looking very good in Atlanta. Maybe he's making a certain quarterback redundant. Maybe the Vikings call up Atlanta and say, "Hey, Kirk, you want your starting gig back?
Just hold on, I'm coming home."
Could you imagine?
That would be insane. Can you imagine that? Wow.
That's insane. By the way, I saw Briscoe asked about Reggie Bush suing. I'm pretty sure he sued, I want to say it was St. Louis back when he was with the 49ers. I think the Rams were still in St. Louis. And he sued them because they had like a cement section off the side of the field. And when he was running off the field, his cleat slid and he tore his ACL. And I'm pretty sure
that was the end of his career.
Yeah, end of his career.
I thought that was with the Lions. I don't remember, but I do know that he did end up suing someone. I don't know how that worked out for him though.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he got a nice settlement. Hollywood Brown might be out the rest of the season.
Oh boy.
I saw he had that. It was like an AC or something like that sprain. First catch of the preseason, he gets tackled from behind and fallen on, and his shoulder goes into the ground. And that's a tough one. That's a tough. By the way, how's Rashee Rice not getting suspended at all?
Huh?
Rashee Rice, how is he not getting suspended at all? I'm a bitter 49ers fan, obviously, so kind of stings a little more. But I feel like he deserves a suspension at the very least for what he did.
For what was it, drag racing or something like that? Wasn't that all he did?
Marijuana in the car. He left the scene. He caused a car accident. It was a lot. All right. By the way, all the chat is saying, yep, they would trade Josh Dobbs. Would you guys trade him for a fifth? Not just a third. I'd trade his ass.
Yeah. He'd be out of here, man. I'm sorry, he would.
Yep.
He would be gone.
I don't think he sued us. I'm Googling it.
Well,
it was the St. Louis Rams.
Oh, okay. There you go. They said that I think it was Tony said Elfline was not a season-ending injury. I think it was like one of those things where he was injured and they did like the injury settlement or something like that, got him out of there. So, yeah. Yep. I traded for 7th. Jesus.
Okay. DeAndre, nine pending felony charges, but no suspension. Bullshit. Hey, I guess innocent until proven guilty, but that's not the NFL standard. The NFL has done a lot more for less.
It's not the country standard either. Let him run for president. Shit. Sorry, shouldn't have said that. I was just kidding. Not going there. I was just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
Okay. Back to this game. It seems like Brock Purdy's going to play a couple of series. Probably will depend on how long. If they go 3 and out, they'll probably do a couple. What are you looking to see from Purdy? It would be interesting to see if Debo plays, Kittle plays. I haven't seen the list of who. I missed the presser today, so I didn't see who is going to play. But what are you looking to see from him?
I want to see the physique. You know, he got married. He bulked up. All of a sudden, he's in shape now, right? You can see like the cut through the shirt and everything. Like he's kind of got some bulk to him now. And just a couple of still shot pictures that I saw. But it's weird when he's at the podium, you don't see it so much, I guess. But it's also based off of what he's wearing. I just want to see him go out there and just be confident, control the team. I don't have these. I don't have like. I'm not going to say high expectations. I just want Purdy to continue to be Purdy. Just go out there and be consistent. You know, just as long as he's consistent. One of my favorite attributes of his is just not being rattled. Throw a touchdown, doesn't matter. Throw an interception, doesn't matter. He comes back out and he's the same Purdy series in and series out. So that's what I really appreciate about him. Just go out there and find your guys. You know, make sure you're making the quick reads. When the play breaks down, you know which way to go and communicate with your guys. You know, send some verbal signals out there so they know which way you're scrambling, things like that. I want to see the offensive line be able to react to when there's pressure. They're going to send blitzes. Every team the Niners seem to play, they don't give a damn, man. They go out there and they will not hesitate to send the house at them. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and by the way, can we talk about that? What the fuck were the Titans doing? They were blitzing from the start of that game on Saturday. Like it's a preseason game, bro. We're trying to just figure out what's going on, who's who, and they're bringing 7 men every play. It's like Brandon Allen and Josh Dobbs are running for their lives back there.
Do you remember that preseason game that Harbaugh was going off? I think it was the Saints. I think we were playing against the Saints, and they blitzed the hell out of Alex Smith. It was like every single play. They sent like 7 or 8 men every time. It was a passing play, and like Harbaugh like did not like that. I remember that. I'm pretty sure it was the Saints, and he was flipping out about it. You know, like he was not happy at all. But I mean, look, you got to go out there and play the teams. You can't control who it is. You just got to go out there and do. You got to take what they're giving you. If they're blitzing that many, somebody's got to be open. Find the guy and get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah, I have this NBC Sports article from 2012. When the Saints met the 49ers in the preseason, New Orleans blitzed like crazy. And after the game, reports surfaced that Saints head coach Sean Payton called for the blitzes because he thought that 49ers coach Jim Harbaugh had snubbed him. Jim just rubs people a funny way. Remember that Jim Schwartz, after when Schwartz was the coach in Detroit and they won, he shook the hell out of his hand, and then Schwartz is like running after him.
The back.
Yeah.
Little tiny Schwartz when the guy his ass whooped. He's lucky that those players intervened. Harbaugh didn't even care. Like he wasn't even looking back at the guy. He's pulling out his shirt so he can celebrate with his team and everything. And here he comes chasing him like that little Chihuahua. You know when you're facing the Chihuahua, you just stand there, but as soon as you turn their back, they're like that's what he was doing. It's like get out of here, man.
Yeah, that shit's funny, dude. All right, Titans and Jags will be fighting for last place. I'm very intrigued to see, a little sidetrack here, but how the AFC South shapes up this year. I thought Anthony Richardson was looking pretty promising as a rookie before he got injured last year and had to sit out the rest of the year. You got Anthony Richardson, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is the vet in that division, which is crazy. But I think it's going to be a very competitive division. Will be interesting to see how that shapes out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as easy, and it wasn't even easy last year for the Houston Texans. Let me be very clear what I'm saying, but they seem to have. I think they have the best quarterback in that division.
Yep.
And I think they have one of the best defenses. But Indy is no slouch at all. That Indianapolis roster is up there. It's got to be a top 10 roster in the NFL. So I really like them. We'll see how it all plays out. There's a couple of divisions, like even the bad divisions, and I'm saying bad like the NFC East, they're always going to be competitive. So it makes it fun to like pay attention to who's going to come out from those divisions.
Yep. Sidebar, Wendy's Triple Berry Smoothie is excellent. $1 right now. I just got Rise protein powder, and it's Little Debbie strawberry shortcake. And it just came in the mail. It's the first shake I made. It's pretty good. You know how some proteins, like they're good, but they have that protein taste?
Yeah. Okay.
This one doesn't have it.
Right.
This one doesn't have it.
So are you trying to gain weight, or are you just doing it for like? Is it
no?
Low? Are you doing like a low intake thing, so you need the protein to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. Mike always skips my comments. Well, I'm clicking the comments here.
What I was say, I'm not even. What did I skip?
Oh, here it is. Will George Kittle go down as top 5 tight end of all time?
For the Niners,
time?
yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's it though. Not league wide, no. Unfortunately, Kittle has to be too much of a blocker. His role is he's going to go down as probably one of the best all around tight ends. But if history doesn't remember how well someone was as a blocker, right? They're going to look at the stats. That's the first thing people look up. And George Kittle, he's got the second best season or third for a tight end of all time. I can't remember. I know he was number 1, and then like a week later, Rob Gronkowski, or maybe later on that afternoon, Rob Gronkowski took the number 1 from him. It was in the final week of the season. So I know that still stands. It's somewhere up there, but I just don't think that he's going to get it, based off of all that stuff. There's just too many all-time tight ends out there to put him in the top 5, I think.
Yeah. I agree. Also, if this was a more passing offense, which is funny because he's had 1,000-yard seasons pretty frequently.
I think he's had 2 or 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if he finishes with like 5 more, but that's going to be tough to see. By the way,
how long Kittle's been in the league?
He got drafted the first year we were together, wasn't it? Was that 2017?
Yeah.
7 years.
So, yeah.
Damn. By the way, I was watching the Patriots preseason game last week. They already gave 87 to someone else. Isn't that crazy? They wasted no time.
But that doesn't mean that person's going to wear it in the regular season.
No,
you have a 90-man roster. You got to reuse some numbers. Remember, people were flipping out about 21 being given to a running back.
Yeah, it was given like it changed later on that day, but just the fact that, yeah, that's true. That's true. Hopefully, I was just tripping out. I'm like, damn, okay, they don't really give a shit. So George Kittle has 6,200 career receiving yards, and 1, 2, 3 of the 7 seasons he's had 1,000 yards. To be fair, 2021 he was 90 yards short, so pretty close there, but not bad. I mean, he's averaging about 900 yards a season, so yeah, pretty good.
You'll take that. That's good. It's not bad at all. Yep,
1,300 in 2018, which was his career year with Nick Mullins, by the way. But that's just because the 49ers didn't have fucking anyone else catching passes.
Right, and that's how your tight ends go crazy when you got bad, subpar quarterback play. So the check downs and the short passes are what's get the numbers going.
Yeah. So. While we're on tight end, that's another position I'm keeping a close eye on. Who separates as the second tight end in this offense? I thought it was going to be, was it Logan Thomas? And then they cut his ass. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like he caught like 60 passes last year or something crazy. Like maybe it's like 30. But he caught a good amount of passes last year. Is it going to be this Tonjes guy? Is it going to be the Saubert? Is it going to be Braden Willis? Cameron Latu, if he could fucking hold on to the ball. Seems like
they're saying his hands look better this year.
Okay. I think
it's going to be him.
This is per Nick Wagner's long extended tweet breaking down practice. One lesser known name that has been showing up a lot recently and consistently, tight end Jacob Tongas. Tongas is sure-handed, a solid blocker, and unafraid to do whatever is asked of him. I had him down for 5 catches today, including a tough one on the goal line in the red zone with linebacker Jalen Graham all over him. In addition, Tongas held his own in a couple of reps in 1v1 pass blocking drills against DL Alex Barrett, though had more trouble with defensive end Robert Beal Jr. The tight end competition still feels like it needs to sort itself out, but if Tongas can translate some of his good practice work into preseason games, he could give the Niners another option for the tight end room.
Can I ask a question? How does Alex Barrett stick around the 49ers so much?
I have no idea, dude. Kyle just likes his guys, and maybe he's just one of his guys. I really don't know. Some of those guys are just like, why are you still here? Like, what?
I don't get it. He's constantly here. He's like the Dante Johnson of the defensive line, man. He just doesn't go anywhere, man. He doesn't go anywhere. But hey, man, I mean, listen, if you're going to go out there and you're going to make our guys better, then by all means, go for it. You know, if nothing else, you're going to get some good practice reps.
Can I say something as well? Why? Hear me out. The 49ers has desperately needed a second tight end, right? They had it for a little bit in Jordan Reed, right? But when they had Jordan Reed, Kittle wasn't healthy. So it wasn't really like a tight end 2. It was just a replacement tight end 1. Why don't they use Juice? They have Josh Hokett out there. He's been on this team before. Why can't they sign him, allow him to be the fullback, and just move Juice to tight end 2? Has nobody ever thought of this? We know he can run routes. We know he can block.
He runs really good routes, and he's got really good hands too. Not for nothing, but Juice is like, he runs pristine routes. His hands are very reliable. I don't get it. He would be the second tallest. He's like 6'4", right?
Wow, is he that tall? I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure Juice is that, but now I got to look it up because I'm not.
I'm googling it.
Sure. Oh, okay, but I'm pretty sure he's like 6'4", 6'3" at least. He's tall,
6'2".
man. He's no way.
That's what
is that
Google
it?
says.
Okay, all right. I digress.
6'2", 235.
I mean, I would use him as a tight end for sure. And then you hear that they're using Willis as an alternative for the fullback right now. And there was someone else also. Damn, I can't remember his name right now. I can't. It's slipping me right now. But there's 2 other guys that they've been using this season in particular as fullback alternatives for Juice. So it's like you can do it. Like, you can definitely do it. So I wouldn't be mad at seeing it.
I see the chat say they motion him. I get that, right? He does occasionally line up there, but I'm talking like more of a permanent role there. Like he is smaller, but fuck, he's better than nothing. You know, like who do they have out there right now?
He's not too small. Delaney Walker was a tight end. He was 6'2". He was a very, very athletic tight end, like Juice is too. So, I don't want to see him getting the carries on 4th and 1 or anything like that. But let him run some routes, man. He's good, and he's a phenomenal blocker. Like, let him go out there and do his thing.
Yeah. People are saying they do use. I would love to know. I'm talking pass catching tight end, 2 tight end sets like the 49ers used to run with Vernon Davis and Delaney Walker. How many catches does Juice have? I would love for you guys to Google that, because it's probably insanely less than you think. People talk about Juwan Jennings like he had 45 catches last year. He had like 13 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It was low. Him and Ronnie Bell. It's like, come on, man.
And I love these guys. I just want them to be used more.
Yeah, like give them that role, off tackle tight ends. Like, let them go out there and be those guys. Yeah.
I'm pulling up his stats here. In 2023, 5 carries for 6 yards, 14 receptions, 419 yards.
Who?
Juice.
He only had 14 catches? Is that what you just said?
14 carries, 14 catches on 17 targets.
Wow. But look at that percentage, though.
For 6 yards.
But that percentage is great.
Yeah.
He had 14 catches and over 100 yards. So he's not catching just yards. Yeah, he's not like just catching, little 2 or 3 yard checkdowns or anything like that. And we remember the one play where it broke down. Brock had to scramble to the right, and he throws him this toe dragging on the side.
Yep.
Like, come on, man. He can do it all, man. You gotta use him. He's the highest paid fullback in the league, and with a bullet too. Like, it's not even close. And you gotta use this dude, man. Come on.
J-Dog, Kyle uses second tight end as a 6-0 lineman. That's my problem. I get it, and it's necessary at times. Pterodome, about $1 million a catch. He already got a pay cut. He already took a pay cut.
Yeah, and he was mad about it. He was like, "Well, I guess it's a good thing my wife's business is taking off the way it is, right? Like, come on, man, it's not."
By the way, he had, what did I say, 15 catches on 17, 14 on 17. Juwan had 19 catches last year on 33 targets.
Jeez.
So It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see someone emerge as that second tight end. I love Juice. They're paying him. I wish they would just use him more. I get it. He's a big threat in the running game as a blocker, but I just feel like that takes so much out of a player than in the passing game. Or if you want to keep him in the pass block, I don't know. I just feel like we're not getting all the juice from his berry. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much untapped potential there. Yeah. I always go with the chat. Well,
because we're talking about what you guys want us to talk about. So that's how it works, man.
Okay, so we talked about tight end 2. We talked about rookies. What else? Keep an eye out. Quarterback, running back, linebacker.
I think we gotta, before we get away from the offensive side of the ball, we gotta watch these wide receivers, man. We have no idea how this is gonna shake out. Your first round guy isn't showing up. Your other first round wide receiver isn't showing up. So, I mean, we got to pay attention to it. They say that Debo is still struggling against man and press coverage. So, I mean, there has to be another option. And you can't sit here and convince me that it's going to be Juwan Jennings, who had, what'd you just say? 19 catches on 30-something targets,
19,
right?
19.
So, I mean, you can't tell me, oh, don't worry, everything is okay if we just have to run out there with Debo and Juwan Jennings. That doesn't scream confidence for me in the passing game. I'm sorry. Will they be productive? Absolutely. Right? The offense is going to continue to go. They're going to have to continue to throw. So someone's going to get catches and yards, yes. But these guys, specifically Juwan Jennings, he's not running the most intricate routes and then getting open downfield and taking off down the field or anything like that. And with Debo, I feel like it's got to be short passes that he goes and takes to the house, which is fine if that's his role. But there's got to be someone that can stretch the field. There's got to be someone that defenses respect and plan on at least putting blanket coverage or putting a safety over there as a spy or something. There has to be someone else to rise right now. The Niners need that. They need that right now, especially with the uncertainty with Brandon Aiyuk. So I am going to be paying very, very close attention to these wide receivers in this game, especially when the starters are out there.
Exactly. Almost nobody is talking about Danny Gray. Can he still, he can stretch the field. He hasn't done jack shit since the 49ers drafted him. He had that one great preseason catch, which seems like forever ago, from Trey Lance against the Packers, I think. Is he going to be anything, or should the 49ers just cut ties? Yeah. Ian Sharp saying, who? Exactly. Who? Per Nick Wagner's post again, some of the pairings that they were messing with in kickoff returns today, Jacob Cowing and Trent Taylor and Kyle Juszczyk, Cody Schrader and Danny Gray, and Cody Schrader and Tabe Martin. So that's interesting. I would like to see Debo back there now that it's more like a zone running play, that kickoff return. Mm-hmm. I feel like he could be lethal. I mean, if it's just, we're talking one cut and go, and we got skinny Debo again.
Schrader is an interesting look there. I'm not opposed to running backs being back there. So you get to Debo, who is the wide back guy, right? I guess I kind of understand why they're putting Juice out there, maybe, but
he's too slow.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not gonna run away from anybody in that sense. You know what I mean? Like he's got good hands, so he'll definitely get the ball and he'll make the most of whatever opportunity is given to him. But he's gonna be more like a Trent Taylor type of return guy. Like get the ball, secure it, and just take whatever you can get. No one excites you back there as a return guy, you know. But Schrader could be a good one. Like you said, Debo could be a good one. I would like to see a guy like Cowing. Cowing was talking about it before. He started his rookie campaign saying, I heard that the Niners haven't had anyone return a kickoff for a touchdown since 2011, I think. So he was like, that's something that's on my list. If I can get back there and be that guy, like I would love to do that for the faithful. So I say, give it to him. Let's see what he can do. But that remains to be seen. We'll have to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, was it Ted Ginn, last person to take a kickback?
Against the Seattle Seahawks, he did a punt return and a kick return in the same game. The Niners, I think, won that game like 33-17, I think it was. Yep. So,
wise guys, still no Aiyuk signing, unfortunately. Okay. Linebackers, I'm keeping a close eye on the linebackers. D. Winters looked good, but he was very inconsistent, had a couple big hits. I'm looking to see more from him, especially if he's going to start the year in the starting role with Dre Greenlaw out. Is he going to surpass Devondre Campbell? How is that going to shape up? What are you looking for on the defensive side? Corner, safety?
I would want to see some definitive answers at the linebacker spot, right? I want to see Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles come out here and get some more reps, you know. Let's see what he can do. And then when it comes to the safety position, like someone go out there and take that spot. There's a question mark right now next to Jair Brown. And there's plenty of opportunity. So I would like to see who's going to like really emerge and say, hey, it should be me. Whether or not it's them, that's not up to us. But give the fans a reason to say, oh, I can't believe it's not that guy. I like when the fans are upset that a certain person didn't get the starting role. That means that the depth is there, that we've seen something that gets us excited and fired up. So hopefully somebody can emerge at that safety position.
Yeah, I agree because I'm not sure if the 49ers are going to be able to pay Hufanga after this, or after his rookie contract. They've been drafting like they don't think they're going to be able to pay him. So they drafted Brown last year. They got Mustafa this year. I'm interested to see how that secondary shapes out as well.
And you're saying it's about the pay. I don't think it's about the pay at all. I think it's about the play.
See, okay, I'm glad you said that because anytime we've talked even remotely negatively about him on the show, the chat just turns against us. How dare you question the second coming of Troy Polamalu? You don't know what you're talking about. He was an all-pro. That's it. I love the player, right? I think he's very good. I think Hufanga is a very instinctual player, but you can trust your instincts too much, and it leads him to getting burned more often than maybe a safety more often than the 49ers would like for a starting safety to be out there. And maybe they feel the big plays aren't necessarily worth the amount of times he's giving up big plays and coverage. He's not fast enough. He doesn't take the right angles often. And again, this is coming from a big fan of Talanoa Hufanga. So I hope he can correct these, but I feel like the 49ers have contingency plans in-house in case. Yeah. And on top of all of that, he might garner a big contract. So
and his issue is that when he has a good game, his games are on fire, right? The good games are really good, but when he whiffs, it's bad. Because, and that's part of the course for the position, right? If your safety messes up, it's likely going to be a big play. And so, like, I understand it, and maybe that's why we kind of judge him so much. But like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. There were good games for Adrian Colbert. And Adrian Colbert is a friend of the show. Like, he's been on multiple times. Like, he's a friend of the show, but let's not, make him something that he's not, right? Adrian Colbert was not that kind of like starting caliber. You're not going to build a secondary around him or anything like that. So I gotta see more from Hufanga. I just think that the Niners want more from that position than what he can offer. And let's not forget also why he got that All-Pro nod. He was on the most stacked team, the most winning team, and he had a couple of interceptions. I think one of them, or maybe even two, went back for touchdowns. And so when you see those kind of, remember what I said about George Kittle, when you see the stats, it's going to propel someone in the Pro Bowl voting and all pro and all that stuff. Those are the things that the writers remember. When they step back and start trying to vote these guys in, the first thing they do is pull up stats. It's the first thing that they do. And so if it's just stat based, then, I get it. But how consistent can these players be? And that's the key to a good safety, is being consistent. There are instinctual guys out there, Hall of Famers, Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu, but specifically with Polamalu, there were times where he was a liability out there as well. I know that we remember him jumping over the offensive line and making sacks and things like that. We've seen him jump routes when it wasn't his play to make it, and he goes out there and sees the play and diagnoses and goes. And I don't think Hufanga, even though they say he trained with and knows Troy, and he has long hair like Troy and maybe the same complexion as Troy, that doesn't mean that he's on that level. And so we have to kind of be patient and really use our eyes and see what we have in him.
Kenny 49ers says, I didn't think, not this one. I've been hearing this lately. We don't like Huff now. I didn't get the memo. This is something that since his rookie year, Matt and I have talked about on this show, and almost instantly we would get pushback because it was like blasphemy. You weren't allowed to question. All we would say is he takes bad angles, and sometimes his trusting his instincts burns him. We love the guy, love the player, but he can be a liability at times. And if you go back and watch tape, it's 100% true. So hopefully he improves, and hopefully it's not a problem moving forward, because I do root for him. However, Mike, that's a great point. Maybe the 49ers just feel like, hey, the level of performance doesn't quite match up with A, what we want right now, and B, what we think you're going to be asking for at the end of the year. So we'll see. By the way, yeah. Go ahead.
No, it actually goes with that comment right there. I'm really glad you put that one up there, right? The third corner.
Yep.
That third corner position is going to be huge, especially because the Niners are it's looking like and sounding like Lenore's going to be out there all game long. And when they go 3 wide receiver sets, they go nickel and dime, he's going to be in the slot. He's going to be the nickel guy. So who's going to be the other person to take the outside from them? I don't think it's going to be Rock Ya-Sin. I don't even think he makes the final 53. I've been adamant about that since the day we signed him. I have not been impressed with him. He has a very – I think his name is better than his play. I remember when he was getting drafted, he was coming out the draft. Everyone kept – it was just a quick name, and the Ya-Sin and Rock Ya-Sin. Like, it's a tough-ass name, right? Like, you want a corner to be named Rock. Like, it just sounds right. You know what I'm saying? But – it wasn't that. It hasn't been that throughout the duration of his career. I'm hoping to see a guy like Isaac Yiadom go out there and get it, but they got to get healthy, So who's going to be that third corner that we can depend on this team? I don't think it was going to be Ambry Thomas. Who do you think it's going to be, Zach? Because I can't call it right now.
I think to start the year, maybe for the whole year, Yiadom. I like Yiadom. He's played well. I was a fan of his coming out of college. I'm happy the 49ers finally landed him. But I think he's a good corner. He's got very long arms, sticky, experienced. I think he's the type of guy that could help this defense. Now, maybe the back end of the year, we see a guy like Renardo Green come on, and maybe the 49ers feel a little more comfortable with him. But I think this is arguably the best secondary the 49ers have had under Kyle Shanahan.
You know what's interesting about that? Because I agree. This secondary, how do I say this without? There was a team that the Niners played twice a year, and their DBs are what made their defense. Okay, and this was from 2010 to 2014, and this secondary was really, really good. Again, we played them twice a year.
How about Seahawks?
Yes. And the one thing that they have in common with this team right now, all of their corners were very handsy. All of them. And they almost dared the officials to throw flags every single play. I think the Niners are about to replicate that. I think that the season could start with some ugly penalties early and often because they're not household names. It's tough to throw flags on guys like Richard Sherman every single play, right? Because it's like, dude, that's Richard Sherman, and he's the best corner in the league. So what he's doing has to be right. Maybe the officials don't know what they're looking at, right? Right? Like it makes you second guess what's going on. But when you got a guy out there like Javarius Ward, well, this guy was he even drafted? Like we got to throw a flag on him, right? Like Diamador Lenore, where was he picked up? He's a mid-round guy. Like we got to throw a flag on him, right? But if the entire secondary on the best roster in the NFL is built that way, then all of a sudden it's like maybe we don't throw those flags, and these guys are just looked at as sticky and, you know, unmovable forces, you know, and that all of a sudden can bode well for a team if they can garner that reputation early. You know, they can't get flustered by the flags. They can't if 3 flags are thrown in the first 3 drives, we can't just say, okay, abandon the game plan. No, continue to press those guys, continue to jam those guys. And again, let the refs know, hey, well, then you guys are going to be throwing flags all game. Like, this is our game. This is how we play. And you guys are going to have to adjust to us, not the other way around. Don't let the officials get you out of your game, because every time the Niners seem to get a corner that it's a little handsy, like, you're allowed to touch corners. This is one thing that us as 49er fans, we would hate on when we would play the Seattle Seahawks, right? Like, it's a play down the field, and we see them touching. Oh, it should be a flag. It should be a flag. You're allowed to touch them. What you're not allowed to do is impede the progress. And you're not allowed to, you know, touch them and deter them or get them off their route. But you're allowed to touch. You're allowed to have hands on a guy. Don't pull jerseys. Don't slow them down. Don't turn them. But you're allowed to touch and feel where they are when you look back for the ball. You're allowed to get a hand on the guy and look back at the same time. But what you can't do is grab, trip, and things like that, and let the officials know, like, we are playing within the rules. We are playing within the spectrum of the rules. And as long as the Niners do that from start to finish and don't get offended, don't get swayed from it, then it's going to make it a long, tough season for anybody that we have to play in that second. Like that's exciting, but they have to stick to it. It is imperative that they stick to it. So hopefully that's the case here.
Very well said. Last point of something that I'm keeping an eye on. Nick Sorensen, this is kind of going to be his first, like, I don't want to say real test, but last week, first preseason game, starters didn't even play. You know, it's kind of all the new fields. You got the jitters out. Let's see how you go. Because if I remember correctly, I want to say there was, 2 or 3 punts that the 49ers defense forced the entire game. Yeah, they got a couple 4th down stops. But for the most part, the Titans were able to move the ball down the field on the 49ers defense most of the day. So how is Sorensen going to coach Sunday with most of the starters in? Again, I know it'll only be a series or 2, but I'm still looking forward to it. And I'm still not entirely convinced that, and I hope I'm wrong, things go poorly for Nick. We might see DC Brandon Staley by the end of the year. I don't know.
It's really tough with these, like, in-house appointees, right? And while you have your reason to be skeptical, right, it's kind of worked out for the Niners, right? When they finally 100%. Go and get someone from the outside, it's Steve Wilkes, and we're like, yeah, I don't know about that, right? Like, I didn't like the hire when it first happened. I don't think that all the negative really was his fault, but it is what it is, right? When you finally went outside to bring someone in, other than Robert Saleh, and even that started rough. I don't know if you guys remember Robert Saleh's
fire Saleh chants, and
ooh, man, was he public enemy number 1 in the 49ers building. But then they go out and get Nick Bosa, and all of a sudden it's like that's what Saleh was missing. It was Nick Bosa, D Ford, and all of a sudden, boom, Robert Saleh, you're the man. And then they promote from within after he leaves with D'Amico, right? And it's like, yes, we got it. And then they go back to getting someone from the outside, and it's like, okay, maybe we fucked up. And so what do? They promote from within, but they do bring in someone else from the outside to be that second set of eyes, the second mindset in that defensive room. So we're going to have to see how it goes. And I personally would not have been upset if they hired Brandon Staley for the defensive coordinator role this offseason. I would not have been upset with that. A lot of people are like, oh, man, look at what he did with the Chargers. Look what he did. Yeah, but remember how he got that position in the first place. He's a defensive-minded guy, and he had a respectable defense while he was doing that. it's gonna be interesting. Sorensen, he's saying the right things to make me have some confidence in him, right? It's like, how do you guys get back to the 49ers brand of football, right? And you hear him talk about missed tackles and how that really, really messed up the team. And then even missed tackles are they're a gimme. They're a break. I've seen guys hold on to jerseys and fall to the ground. The jersey rips and the player keeps running, right? Like, there's only so much you can do, right? But the run defense is really what we have to get back to. I don't care what year you think about. If Patrick Willis was on this team and any time after that, the run defense for the 49ers was always top 10. You might be able to pass all over them. The secondary was always iffy, right? But you might be able to pass on the 49ers. The run defense was the bread and butter of this team. And you're going to have to beat this team in the air. We have to get back to that. That's the 49ers brand of football we have to get back to. If there were two things that I want to see this defense improve on, it's the 3rd and longs. I don't want to see any more conversions of 3rd and 14, God. 3rd and 19. That shit makes you want to throw something at the middle of your TV. Like,
and they always give up 1 yard more.
1 yard more.
1 yard
always.
Yeah.
How? Like, what are we doing? Can we pretend that 3rd and 14 is actually 3rd and 13? Can we pretend that 3rd and 14 is 3rd and 12? Please, for the love of God. Like, can we stop them at the line and at least make them measure? No, it was always like, and it would be the dumbest little screenplay or just they send everybody deep and then they check it down to the running back and he's like, oh, I got this. Oh, shake one guy and I broke it. Like, stop it. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I don't want to see it anymore. So that's what I'm hoping that we get back to. Stop the ball early when they're running the ball. Make second down be 2nd and long every time. 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8 every single time. And then let's get back to Niners ball. That's what I want to see.
By the way, I wasn't a fan of Steve Wilks, but I will say he did what he was brought in to do in the sense of coaching the secondary up, because that was the best secondary the 49ers have had. Basically here, Charvarius Ward continued to have a fantastic year. He had a great first year with the 49ers, but he got even better. And then Deommodore Lenoir has turned into a star. Like, he was on the trajectory, but that's not a guarantee. And Steve Wilks came in and he just took off. So
yes,
I credit Steve Wilks to that, because he definitely improved the secondary. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to improve the entire defense. But that's okay, because now we got Nick Sorensen, who has been here for a few years already. And you got Brandon Staley and all the other continuity with the other coaches who have been here. So I'm optimistic with this defense. I think it's going to take a step forward and look more like the Ryans and solid defense that we've seen in the past.
And don't forget, we got the guy from Seattle. What's his name? He's here as a position coach now. Oh God.
Oh yeah. KJ Wright. Yes. He's here now, right? Like, let that Seattle mentality permeate through the building. Let that get through there. Just now, like I get it. Yeah, I get it. Maybe not a corner or a safety, right? But that's still part of the mindset. That's part of the mindset. Like, I want to see that, like, be here. Like, let's go. There's a reason Kyle wanted this defensive structure against opposing teams. He said when he was hired here, they said, why are you going to this defense? Why Robert Saleh? He said, of all the defenses I played, this is the one that gave me the most fits, right? If you have the offensive genius of the NFL, the offensive guru, right? This guy is like the protege. This guy was the second coming, right? If you have him here saying this is the toughest defense to prepare for, and that's why I want it here, he was talking about the Seattle defense. He wasn't talking about a 3-4. Plenty of teams run a 3-4. That's not what he was talking about. He was talking about that Seattle type of defense. Handsy guys in the secondary. They're going to press you. They're going to jam you at the line, and they're going to make you earn every blade of grass for every route that you run. And they're going to be sticky, dick to hip, right? That's a phrase that we've come to hear in the last 3 seasons, right? You go out there, you bring that mentality here, and you make these guys earn it. And it is the most frustrating game of their lives. The most dominant defensive performance I saw in the Super Bowl was that Seattle team. Yep.
I hated seeing it, but it was the most dominant defense I ever saw. That's what I want to see.
Omar602 says, do you think this draft, they allowed everybody to get their one guy? Kyle got Pearsall, Lynch got Mustafa, Brandon Staley got Ronaldo Green, and KJ Wright got Bethune. I don't know. This draft felt a bit different. Could be.
That's a very interesting. That's a really, really good observation. Now that you say that, and it's tough to say like, oh, this guy was this guy's pick and all that, but there's something to it. There is definitely something to it. I mean, from the moment they drafted these guys, from the moment Mustafa was drafted, hey, Lynch, do you see a little bit of you in him? They asked the question right away. And he's so humble. He's like, I'm not going to say I see me in him, but I see the aggressive style of play that I did play with, and that's what I like. I see a guy who takes pride in tackling, so he said all the right things. He didn't want to make it sound like it was about himself, but he also said it with a smile on his face, and he grabs that earlobe, and he's smiling. I don't know. Like, you can't hide it, bro. It's all over your face. You love this kid. Now we just got to hope that he shapes up to be who we want him to be.
All right, so I had said Nick Sorensen was my last, but I lied. My last is actually fucking special teams coverage. Can they cover a kickoff and not allow a 50-yard average return? That shit's so frustrating, dude.
Save the best for last. This is going to be – listen, this is going to make or break the season. I will go out on a limb right now and say it. I have been adamant that I did not like the hire of Schneider. I don't give a damn who – I don't care what it turns out to be. It's irrelevant. I didn't like the hire, and it's not because, oh, Mike, you want to be right. It's not that. I didn't like that we had an opening, and you didn't vet. You didn't go out there and bring in a bunch of guys. You sent the text message, and the guy said, okay, sure, all right, here I come. That's not cool, right? And then in this season, when you got all these changes, he gets his first shot at it, and he failed. That wasn't like we did okay. The entire NFL was shaping around this new rule, this new set of rules. I think, and maybe I'm watching too close, I think we looked the worst. Were there any touchdowns on kickoff returns? I saw a safety because a guy grabbed the ball and took a knee in the end zone, but because it bounced in the zone and you took the knee, it counted as a safety. That's the only score that I can recall from all of last week, and I didn't watch tonight's game. There was a game on tonight, Eagles-Patriots, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They played tonight. I did not watch that game, so forgive me. I don't know that anybody scored. I definitely don't think anybody got the ball to the fucking 15-yard line off of a kickoff, and albeit they didn't either. They got it to the 30, but Kyle gave them the extra 15, right? But, like, it's terrible. We can't – if that's how the season is going to go, I don't give a damn how good your offense is. If we got to drive 80 yards and they got to drive 30, we're going to lose a lot of football games here in Santa Clara, San Francisco. It's not going to work out in the way that we want it to. So we've got to do – especially because we can't even – I would settle for one being really good and the other being bad, like the coverage versus the return team. One of them being really good and the other one being really bad. Both were equally bad. Both were equally bad. That's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it. And I don't think it's an overreaction either, right? Because you are what the film says you are. Right now, the Niners have the worst kickoff special teams unit in the entire NFL. No question about it. I don't care. We have to do something. We have to get better there. So that is what we should be paying attention to. And the good news is we get to see it at least 4 times in this upcoming game. There's going to be a kickoff. There's going to be a return. And then the second half is going to flip again. So we're going to see it. So that's what we should be paying the most attention to.
What's funny is last year, and I mean, basically the last few years, it's been an issue. Like, it's been an issue. The 49ers historically have not been good with it. And then here I am, like a fucking idiot, thinking, oh, the rules have changed. It's completely different now. It's going to be great. Bam, first kickoff, 60 yards, add another 15 because of Kyle Shanahan's dumbass. Like, they just automatically go straight back down to the bottom because for some reason, Kyle Shanahan's a genius. He gets the best people to call his defense, yada, yada, yada. And then special teams, it's like, oh, who cares about that? I don't know. What? I don't know. Just kick the fucking ball. I don't know. Whatever. It's like, Why is this not an issue? Why is this not a concern? Why is this not an area of focus for you when you're so focused on every little thing? Again, I hate to be the asshole, but if we had better special teams, maybe we win the Super Bowl. Missed an extra point, fumble a ball on a kickoff or a punt, whatever the hell it was. You could chalk it up to bad luck. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a coincidence. It happened on special teams plays that literally cost 49ers points. There's 8 points that the 49ers lost because of special teams.
Yeah.
So
we got to see somebody else. We got to see other guys step up to the occasion. You know, this is when a guy like Chris Conley is going to come in there and really make his bones. You know, Gio, you know, they talked about him out there and how important he was and all that. So you want to see these guys. It's time for the special teams aces to come and really make their bones. Maybe put more linebackers out on the coverage teams. You know, you got to switch up the return guys. I don't want to see. I said it, and I'm going to say it again, right? Like, I was more impressed with Trent Taylor as a wide receiver than I was as a return guy out there last week. I don't want to see. This is going to sound mean. I don't want to see Trent Taylor make this team because I feel like we're taking a major step backwards if that's the case. I don't want to see it. Now, I understand that last comment you put up there, injuries, right? Like, I understand the injuries and all, like, so we couldn't even put the starters out there, and now all of a sudden your special teams guys have to worry about their snaps and their playing time and attrition and all that. I get it. These first 2 drives for the 49ers are supposed to have the starters out there. Let's judge the special teams based off of their first 2 opportunities this week and then see what happens.
All right. Was there anything else in the game that you're looking forward to, keeping an eye on?
There is one other one, but it's the obvious one, right? Who's going to be the backup quarterback? I want to see these guys shine. Do we get a chance to see Mordecai out there? I am personally not one that cares to see him out there. I don't think he's going to make the roster. But I don't know where it came from either. There was some hype around this kid. I don't know what he did. I don't know who he talked to, what practice that he did that was like so stellar. But people were like, oh, this is the next Brock Purdy. Like, I don't know where that came from, but I want to see something. Show me something. I have, to this moment right now, I have not looked up any of his film. So maybe I actually bought the deluxe version of Madden. When I got home today, it said I had 5 hours until I could play it. I think that releases in about a half an hour. Maybe I'll see if he's on the 49ers roster, and I will put him in as quarterback and just see what his attributes are. I don't know. I have no idea. But I'll go and take a look and see what this guy does well. I want to see his ratings and stuff like that. But people are clamoring to see him. I want to know who's going to be the backup. Yeah. Because whoever the backup isn't, back to that Vikings conversation, maybe we can get something in return for this guy. Maybe we can get something in return for him. So
interesting. All right. As far as the Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, there's really not much. I keep hearing that the 49ers and Aiyuk are at the finish line. The 49ers and Aiyuk just got to dot their I's and cross the T's. I will say it is a positive sign that he was spotted at practice yesterday and today. He hadn't been spotted there since 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, where he was seen there initially and the whole handshake thing went viral and people were reading into it. So he is there. He's watching. Saw today, Debo went over to him afterwards and talked to him for a bit. Kyle Shanahan after the game of after practice at the press conference said, "We've been in the same situation for a while. There's still plenty of options. We're trying to get to the bottom of it and figure out, but nothing has changed." That was on Tolbert and Copes. Mike, maybe it's just me, but I think if they were going to trade him, they would have done it by now.
Yeah, he would have been gone already. Teams are getting injury riddled and all that stuff. And maybe, they were saying that part of the trade to the Patriots included Judon. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if the Patriot would have gave him up. And then all of a sudden today, he's traded, right? So maybe there was maybe the Patriots did make their bones. This is kind of how I think the 49ers ended up getting Trey Lance in that package to trade up the number 3, right? I think that the Niners had a package of picks set aside so they can go out and get Deshaun Watson from Houston. And when they realized that they didn't want to touch him, they said, well, if we were willing to give all this up, what if we give this up and then draft the guy? Let's see who falls to us at 3, and then we can take our pick from there. Maybe the same thing happened with the Patriots. Maybe they said, hey, if we were willing to give this guy up for Brandon Aiyuk, let's just see what we can get for him straight up. If we were willing to part with him, that means we had a contingency plan to play in his absence. So let's just see what we can get. Maybe we can make this team better over time. So maybe something like that did happen. I don't know. But here's what I will say on the Aiyuk thing in particular. Trent is going to be Trent. He's going to get his money. I'm not worried about Trent. Something that I realized, and I tweeted it out yesterday, Nick Bosa didn't sign his deal until September 6th or 8th. I saw an article that said the 8th, but people were saying that it happened on the 6th, and the article came out on the 8th. I don't care. There were no trade talks. John Lynch and Kyle straight up said, we are more likely to be traded than Nick Bosa. So he is not up for trade. And it took them that long to work with their first-round guy on his fifth-year option to get the extension done without outside noise, without other teams being involved. Why should we expect anything different for a first-round pick on a fifth-year option? If they did that with Bosa and it took that long and it was just language, why should we expect it to be any different for Brandon Aiyuk? And it did involve other teams reportedly. If you believe all the reports, you had the Patriots, you had the Browns, you had the Steelers, I think there was another team also that people tied him to. I don't remember, but there was at least 3 other teams all involved in this negotiation period, right? So if all of that is all encompassing, here's how I see it breaking down. The Niners said, Aiyuk, we value you here. This is the deal we want to offer you. Aiyuk said, I like that deal. Let's do it. And he calls his agent. His agent said, wait, I just got word from some of my other agent friends, and 3 other guys are about to get contracts. That's going to reset the market. Let's wait for that to happen, and then let's see where the Niners have you slotted. So those 3 guys signed their contracts, okay? After they signed their contracts, now his agent says, boom, let's see what the Niners offer. The Niners come back and say, no, our offer is what we said it was. That's the value that we have on him. Aiyuk's agent says, well, that value should have been based off of the market and where he falls within the market. The market's changed, so the pay should change. Well, we don't think so. So then the Niners say, all right, we're putting our foot in the ground because that's the value. Nothing's changed. The agent says, well, then we request a trade. Not Aiyuk. The agent says we request a trade. Why, Mike? Why did they request a trade? Well, because now we have to see what the league's value is for Brandon Aiyuk. Did the league change their value for him versus what the Niners thought his value was? So now you're allowed to call the teams. You're allowed to see if he's traded, what the deals would be. They go out and they get those numbers. They get the highest of the high. They get the lowest of the low. And now the Niners say, well, the bad teams are going to offer you X. The good teams are going to offer you Y. We are a good team. Y is where we are. So that's what the negotiation was for. That's what the trade request was for. And now, in my opinion, in my mind, logically speaking, emotions out, now that's what they have to negotiate. So I think the negotiations just started all over in the last week. And so now that's when they iron out the details. So I think that we have to wait. We might be doing this for another week or 2, talking about this whole Brandon Aiyuk situation. Unfortunately, I just think that's where we are.
Great breakdown, Mike. Very good breakdown. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, it really does. So,
and as I say that, he's probably going to sign like tomorrow morning.
Like I think a lot of people make the mistake of kind of viewing this one day at a time, and you really do in this situations have to pause and zoom out and say, okay, let's look at it as a whole, right? When have historically the 49ers extended their first round picks? When did they initially reportedly have a contract in place? I mean, according to even BA, he said he was ready. He had the suit picked out and everything. When, why would they allow him to seek a trade? And the way you laid it out makes perfect sense. It's like, okay, this is the number we had. If you think it's changed, go prove to us that it's changed, and then we'll have that conversation then. Yeah. So it seems like it is.
Yeah. And there's been no first round extended for this regime other than Nick Bosa. He is literally the only one. And that's kind of the last thing I'll say on this is the Niners are okay with you being upset but coming to play on the 5th-year option if they can't come to an agreement. And the reason is because we don't get better for trading you this year, and you're not going to go out there and lay a goose egg because that's going to affect you as a free agent. So they kind of have it's not kind of. They still have all the power, unfortunately. I know we want to see the players get paid. We love these guys. We cherish these guys. We appreciate what they do on the field, right? The guys in the front office aren't the ones that we praise and cheer and buy jerseys for. It's the guys on the field, right? We want to see these players get paid and be paid well, but the Niners are going to operate from a business perspective. And if we can't come to an agreement, you're going to play on this 5th-year option here. we don't benefit at all from trading you. And the injuries to the wide receivers are even more so saying, like, we're going to keep you here at the very minimum on this 5th-year option.
Okay. Trent Williams. We see comments saying Trent's the bigger priority.
Okay. I saw it on Twitter. I'm going to ask you, and then you can do the chat pack thing, right? But who's more important to the success of the 49ers this year, in your opinion?
It's Trent Williams, without a doubt. Do you disagree? You think it's Brandon Aiyuk this year?
I do. I do.
Nah,
I think it's Aiyuk this year.
You're going to have Jalen Moore starting at left tackle?
Hey, listen, Jalen Moore didn't even play last game, and I was happy with Hubbard out there. Here's what I will say. Here's what I'll say. And it's not that I'm devaluing Trent Williams. Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the NFL. I love Trent Williams, so I don't want anyone to think any different from what I'm about to say. Right? But if you know that there's a bad offensive lineman out there, you can plan and scheme around that. You still need guys to get open. You still need someone to stop teams from stacking the box. You can't have Trent Williams out there and NFL teams stacking the box and taking everything away short because you don't have an outside wide receiver. You just can't. You can't have that. As important as Trent Williams is, there's only so many people he can block on a pass rush. There's only so many people. I think at this moment, right now, Brandon Aiyuk might actually be more important than Trent Williams is to the success of this team this season. I know it sounds blasphemous, and I don't expect anybody in the chat to agree with me. Not a single person do I expect to agree with me. Because they think of Trent Williams the best left tackle, Brandon Ayuk's not the best wide receiver. I get that, and I agree with that. But clearly, you can't just replace Brandon Aiyuk on this team. Who's it going to be? Juwan Jennings?
I mean, it's supposed to be Ricky Pearsall. We don't really know what he looks like, though.
The guy can't fucking get on the field. He can't get on the field. And are you going to trust a rookie to come in here and be as good as Brandon Aiyuk in his rookie year wasn't as good as Brandon Aiyuk is now?
Here's what I'll say, right? In defense, I think it's much easier to overcome not having Brandon Aiyuk because you have other offensive stars. You have Debo, you have CMC, you have George, and who knows what Pearsall is. Even if Pearsall is an average receiver to start, you still have him out there that you could spread the ball around more. Maybe George has 1,500 yards. Maybe Debo has 1,200 yards. Maybe Juwan has 600 yards, 500 yards. You know what I mean?
And 27 catches, right?
And 27 catches. But with Trent, it's a lot less being able to overcome his absence with a group of people. It's Jalen Moore, get your ass in there and go block fucking, Chris Jones, go block Micah Parsons, go block the best pass rushers in the league that the 49ers will face, especially if they want to make another deep postseason run. I think Purdy, we already saw how much the pressure impacted him negatively in the Super Bowl. I can't even imagine how much more it would impact him without Trent Williams out there. I think he would be running for his life constantly. We'd probably see his sack numbers double. Dare I say an injury? You know what I mean? Like he would take a lot of hits.
I do. I do get it. I understand exactly what you're saying. I guess why I can't get past it is who's the guy that you're going to go to on a 3rd and 12. Not that Aiyuk is going to convert every one of those or anything like that, right? But like, who's the guy that's the threat for the intermediate or deep shots? You named CMC, Debo, Kittle, all of those guys, all pro guys, right? Pro Bowl guys, all pro guys, the best at their respective positions, right? Like Debo, I think, is the best weapon in the entire NFL. He operates and lives near the line of scrimmage. George Kittle, 5, maybe 10 yards tops, right? CMC, he's the check down option in the passing game, right? But there's no one on the outside that's going to be doing outside wide receiver things right now on this team.
We've seen it from Juwan a bit. Not nearly enough, but we've seen he can do it. He's not fast, but he's a big target on the outside. I mean, I'm interested to see.
Wait. You haven't seen Juwan get busy on the outside. I haven't. Juwan's a middle of the field kind of guy. All of his
He's done some
big
stuff
catches
on the outside.
All right. Okay. I'll
What's
take your
his
word for it.
average? Last year he averaged 14 yards a catch.
It's not terrible.
I mean, what was BA 18?
18,
So,
19, something like that, almost
pretty good.
20 yards a catch. Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying it would be easy. All I'm saying is if I'm choosing if you told me right now, gun to my head, you have to play the season without one, it's 51-49. I'm playing without BA and I'm rolling with Trent and we're overcoming as much as we can.
There's no wrong answer. I like it. I respect it.
It's tough. It really is tough. Okay, let's get this chap. Oh, by the way, the contract update with Trent, Kyle said today via KNBR, we're having a lot of discussions with his agent. Hopefully we can figure it out. I'm optimistic we will. Of course, the sooner the better. And with Trent, I think they absolutely will because they don't have an option not to. I think maybe the only holdup is like, you won all this extra money. How do we know you're not going to fucking retire at the end of this year? You know, like the Rams are Aaron Donald like $12 million next season, and he's gone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that's kind of the thing. I don't quite get the hang up, right? Give him some new upfront money and knock that cap number down.
They just gave him more money last year.
So? Oh, okay. This so sounds like dismissive. Like I'm not trying to do that. What I'm saying is right now his money is like, oh man, Tony and I just did it and I don't remember the numbers and I don't have it in front of me. But like I understand Trent not coming out there without guarantees. In order to give him guarantees, you literally have to restructure. There's no other option. And I'm not trying to be funny at all. Even if you take the same cap hit, the same numbers and all that, you have to do some sort of restructure. Restructure the guy and just create some more cap space. And if he retires, that money disappears. So there you go. I'm going to go full screen. It's going to change my colors here, but I want to be able to read what you put up on the screen. So 2024, if you look at his cap hit, it's not terrible. His cap hit's only $10 million this year, but the base salary is the high part. And then next year is when it jumps all the way up to 34. You can take those last 2 years where you're talking $71 million and you can turn that into some guarantees right now. And if he retires, you get some of that back. What I'm saying is you can take that cap hit and lower it. Look at what we did those first 4 years of his contract there. He didn't have a single one higher than $13 million. You can do that again. And he was happy with the $30 million up front. He got it. That $30 million signing bonus made Trent Williams happy. If you do that all over again, you can cut those cap hits down. I get it. It pushes more numbers to the back end, right? But if he retires, that money comes back. It's not the same as if you cut him. It's a little bit different if he retires. So, and I'm not a cap guy. We have a guy that we can bring on the show, Zach. If you want, we can call Jason Hurley and he'll do a joint show with us and break down how it works, right? And let me know if that's something that you're interested in doing, maybe for the next show if there's no deal still. But I don't see a losing situation for the Niners in this right now. Trent Williams is deserving of the money. I said that he's the best left tackle in the league. You said that if I got to choose between him and the best wide receiver on the team, you're going to choose him. So I respect that as well. Give him some more upfront money, give him a nice signing bonus, and give him some guarantees, and knock those cap numbers out the water, man. We need the money for next year. We literally need it. We're about to pay Brock Purdy $55 million next year. Let's knock those cap numbers down and give us some breathing room, man. I don't know what the hang up is. I don't get it. It's not logical to me right now.
Hopefully they get it done soon because season's coming up quick. Trent's going to have missed the entire, practice, OTAs.
He's already lost money. Let's be clear here.
Yeah.
The new CBA, the Niners can't forgive certain fines. And missing a preseason game due to a holdout means that you miss a game check. I think the game checks are what you're allowed to forgive. It's the preseason fines that you're not allowed. I think that's the way the new CBA is. So when that happens, like, we already know that there's going to be X amount of dollars as a bonus already. So they got right. It's only like 40,000 or something like that, but still they got to get it worked out, man. Get Trent back in here. He's got to get in football shape, and he's a guy that misses a game or two a year anyway. Get Aiyuk in here so we can go ahead and get his little nicks and dings out of the way. Aiyuk is normally, knock on wood, he's normally healthy, but, I mean, missing out this much, he's probably going to get dinged up in the first 3 weeks and have to miss a week or two. Let's get ready for that second half of the season, man. Get these guys in here, Niners. Like, come on. We deserve it. And you guys as coaches and front office execs, you guys deserve it as well. Let's go out there and get this Super Bowl out the way this year, man. We're the favorites for a reason.
That's right. All right, we're going to end it with this chat pack card. This one's a little interesting. We're going to get a little spicy tonight. Matt's not here.
Uh-oh. No one's going to space or in black holes tonight, huh? I love Matt's answers, man. He makes me think my answers are shit when he does his answers, man. I'm like, damn, I got to think outside the box more. What would you do if you could be guaranteed to be safe? He's like, I'd go into a black hole. I'm like, I'd skydive. Like, I'd go for a walk and reach for my wallet in front of the cops. Like,
okay, all right. If you had to be of a different ethnicity than you actually are, which heritage would you most likely belong to due to its similarities to your actual ethnicity?
Oh, okay. So heritage and ethnicity, I don't.
Yeah, they kind of use those interchangeably. Let's just stick with ethnicity or heritage, I guess, whichever one's easier for you.
Well, because like there's a large part of me that wish I had like Jamaican or Haitian roots, because the pride in those and the heritage part of that, like it really I don't have that in my family, right? Like, so when we trace our lineage back, we have we're black, and then the further back we go, the more Native American my family becomes. My great grandfather was half white, half black. His wife was Native American. And then when we try to get into my great grandfather's lineage, one of his grandparents was also Native American. So the further back we go, the more Native we are. And it's not that I don't want that heritage, but we try to keep that alive already as is. Mm-hmm. So I would try to, if I'm going to try to change it up, I would probably go with I think the Samoan heritage is like phenomenal, right? Like I would want to do a haka and not offend somebody watching me do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think hakas are dope. I would start every football game, every like wedding ceremony, every funeral with a haka. Like, if you guys don't know what a haka is, please go out there and Google it. Like, that shit is like emotionally charging. I've seen soccer teams go out and like do a whole haka in front of their opponent. Like, they just, like all the time. I love that shit. Like, it gets me hyped. Like, I'm all about like, it's us against the world. I love that kind of shit. So I would probably go with the Samoan heritage if I'm being 100% upfront with you. The definition of ethnicity, though, is the quality or fact of belonging to a population group or subgroup made up of people who share a common cultural background or descent.
Okay.
Which is different than heritage, by the way.
Right. For me, I'm sure you guys know, I am Mexican. I do have some Native American blood, some Spaniard blood, but I think if I had to pick one based off of similarities, that's not quite something I already am.
Oh shit, that's right. It was supposed to be similar. I'm sorry. I was supposed to stick with
something. That's okay. That's all right. I got to go with the Mexicans of the Southeast Filipinos. The Filipinos are the Mexicans of the Asians. And if you've ever been to Mexico, if you've ever been to Philippines, they're basically speaking the same language. They're the same people, same cultures. One's just maybe a little small. No, Mexicans are pretty small. I was going to say maybe Filipinos are a little smaller, but Mexicans are pretty small. Luckily, I got the Spaniard blood in me, so I got up to 6'2". But my cousins that are in Mexico, 5'6", 5'7", like they don't get that tall. So
you said 5. Oh, you said 5'7" like a Mexican. You said 5'7".
It came out. I'd probably go with Filipino. I think Filipinos are cool as hell. So plus Philippines is beautiful. So that'd be a cool swap.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, good answer, man. That's a good answer. I forgot about it being similar to where I am.
That's all right. You want another answer at it?
No, I'm gonna stick with it, man.
All right.
I love the Samoan people, man. Let's go, man. Island guys. Let's
Pterodome
go,
said
man.
Sicilian.
Sicilian, yeah.
Joey, 5'7" gang. Represent.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Represent.
Like I remember the first time I met you, man. Like we've done videos for so long. I had no idea you were as tall as you were. I was like, what the fuck is Zach doing up there? Like, what is happening?
Everybody tells me that. Everybody that I meet. I didn't think you were that tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea, man. I mean, it's not, you're not like towering over me or anything like that. You got me by like an inch or two, but it was like, wow, man. Like I just didn't expect it. I don't know. I didn't expect it. So it was pretty cool.
It's a nice surprise. It's a nice surprise. All right. That's going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Matt. Matt couldn't make it tonight, but we will be live. I don't know if we'll be live Sunday because I don't think I can make it. It's going to be a later game on Sunday. Maybe we'll go Monday. Once Matt is around, we will plan everything out. We'll let you know. Follow us on X. Our handles are on the screen. Mike, I'm sure the folks already know, but please shout out where they can find you and what to subscribe to.
Yeah. Your Jersey boy is in the building. I know a lot of people are like, wait, what, New Jersey? Like, guys, I live in Pennsylvania, but I am Jersey true and through. But you guys see the Twitter handle right there. I'm sorry, X handle, Mike Andrews 83. You guys can follow me. You guys are going to get more from me on weekends and late evenings towards the end of the week because that's when I start having a couple of sips. And I get a little loose with the fingers. My Twitter usually goes crazy. I thought my Twitter was like blocked from being able to be followed, and I gained like 50 followers in the last week. I don't know what I've done. Even on YouTube, the YouTube subscribers are going up. So guys, head on over to youtube.com and subscribe to Nothing But Niners. For those of you who are watching on the 49ers Hive page, please come over and join us on the Nothing But Niners page. And then Zach has it under his photo down there, the Patreon, man. We will be kicking off our live streams this week. Now, this game is supposed to be on Fox nationwide, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be on Fox, so you guys won't have to, but it will be our practice run on Patreon where if you guys are subscribed to the Patreon, the $5 and up tier, not the $1 tier, but the $5 and up tier, we will be doing the shows live. You get to see my ugly mug, my commentary, my thoughts on the game, every single snap, and so on and so forth. And then we'll be doing the overreaction show right after. So make sure you guys tune in there. Patreon.com/NB9ERS.
That's right. Go check it out. Go subscribe. Joey saying I must have been given some special tacos as a kid or something.
I swear to God, man, it's got to be something in the food nowadays, man. It's here. It's what we do here, man. We put all this, it's all this unnatural shit in the food that we eat because I can't call it for the life of me, man.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it. Like Mike said, our handles are on the screen. Go follow. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels. If you're streaming on X, repost the stream, hit like. You know all the fun stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Matt's not here to sign us out, so until next time, go Niners.